YouTube, what is going on? It is Skywise here, back in our video. Today we are talking about Subaru WRX STIs. Most specifically, this video is going to be giving you guys 5 modifications that you can do to your Subaru WRX STI that do not require a tune. So you can do these modifications, bolt them to your car, and run it safely without no tune. And more specifically, they will have benefits out of doing these things that your car will reap of. So whether it's cooling, a little bit more power, more efficiency, reliability, all 4 of those categories we will discuss in this video with these 5 things that you can do to your Subaru WRX STI right now. If you want to see a more in-depth video going over one of these things, please leave something in the comments because we can do that. Really quickly before we get in the video, we just attended Superfly 2024. That video will be up in the coming week, and it was a phenomenal time. It's one of Ohio's biggest car shows. It kind of looks like, it used to look like this. I'm going to put up a picture of it right here so you guys can see it. It's kind of our closest that we get to our scene being like the Fast and the Furious. Also, if you guys aren't following, we have the GTR R35 that we are starting to build now. If you guys aren't following the channel, hop on board, watch the build of the GTR. I don't want to waste any more of you guys' time. Let's just hop straight into it. So, number 1, the first thing that we're going to talk about is replacing your stock top mount intercooler. As you can see, obviously I'm running a front mount intercooler, so this isn't going to be a great example of doing that, but I've had about 4 or 5 Subarus, whether you're tuned or not. So you can be tuned now, you can be running a Pro Tune, or you can be not tuned at all, you can be factory. You can replace your top mount intercooler, your factory one, with say a Process West one, a Mishimoto one. I personally had both of those brands before, and they're phenomenal. The last one I had was a Mishimoto one. I had an anodized black one. It was phenomenal. So you can basically, all you're gonna do, there's gonna be 2 bolts. You're gonna take those bolts out, take apart. There's like an elbow pipe in the back that connects to the turbo. It's kind of like where this is right here. You're gonna take that out. That's the only hard part about the install, is just kind of getting your hands behind it and making sure you're hooked up to the turbo correctly. You want to really make sure that pipe is fully connected to the intercooler and the turbo, because if not, you'll be leaking, and you really don't want to be leaking any boost. You don't want any vacuum leaks, but it's really easy to do. Anyways, let's talk about the benefits of going to an aftermarket top mount intercooler. So basically, you're going to be pulling in more cooler, dense air, and not only that, when you get a bigger intercooler, a thicker one, say dual core, 3 core, I just put a dual core on our X3 Maverick, and that's a Mishimoto as well. The bigger the intercooler, the longer it's going to take to heat soak. And with these cars, the turbo sits right there. It's sitting right underneath the intercooler, so the turbos get hot. Obviously, the turbos have a hot side. It's your exhaust fumes. So the heat, of course, rises. It's going to rise right in your intercooler. And that stock intercooler on the Subaru STIs, it's very thin and it heat soaks really fast. And having a better intercooler is a huge plus. I recommend anybody to do that. So if you have a Pro Tune right now, say you're tuned for a cold air intake and a catback exhaust, throw a top mount intercooler on there. Say you're Pro Tuned for a Dom pipe and you have a bigger turbo, whatever you're Pro Tuned on, or if you're stock, you can throw a top mount intercooler on. You just cannot go front mount without a tune. Do not do that. Just stick to top mount. And there's been a lot of situations I've went top mount, and then like a year later, I'll end up going front mount, and I'll kind of kick myself in the foot. I'll be like, damn, I just spent like, $600, $700, $800 on this top mount intercooler. So it kind of sucks, but you can get some really nice ones. I know Process West makes a verticooler, and those are really phenomenal. And they are just really great because you're not going to heat soak. Your car is going to be more efficient. It's going to be more reliable, and it's going to just perform better, mainly because you're not heat soaking as fast, and you can draw in cooler air for longer periods of time. So it just helps reliability, drivability. Definitely a huge thing that you guys can do, and I definitely recommend it. I'm not going to include this on its own, but you can also do your radiator as well. Radiator, intercooler are 2 huge ones that you can do, especially together. You do not need a tune to do a radiator, and that's not going to be its own on the list. I'm just going to include that with the intercooler, so that's a little bonus one. Radiators are huge to do too. These cars get hot. They don't like heat. I'm telling you, Fortunately, right now it's boost season. It's October right now, but in the summertime, these cars get hot. Moving on to number 2, your turbo inlet. So not the intake, the turbo inlet is what the intake connects to. You can go, so this is a pair-in-one. I did mine when I was doing my intake. You do not need to be pro-tuned to do yours. There's really not that many gains out of that. You're just gonna get a little bit better airflow. If you see the stock piece, the stock turbo inlet, when it comes off of there, and you hold it in your hands compared to that one, you're gonna be like, damn. The one that you're putting on, this is the guy she told you not to worry about. Seriously, the quality of the material is just phenomenal, and I honestly believe heat can, like, the other material from the factory one's so thin. I think that one really heat soaks. It literally goes under the intake manifold. So along with cooling, I think maybe it adds a little bit of turbo whistle. I don't know. There's a lot of benefits. They say, if you look at all the different brands, they say 5-wheel horsepower, 10-wheel horsepower. I don't know about any of that bullshit. I think honestly it just helps. It doesn't heat up as fast. It adds a little bit of airflow to your turbo, because these turbos need that, because these cars have this, especially this one has no balls on the low, absolutely no balls. Since I'm going to warn you now, that is the one thing on this list that's the hardest to do. So kind of a pain in the ass to do. It's doable, but it's going to take you, I'd say, about an hour. Even if you're a qualified, like I like to work on my own shit, that still takes kind of a long time to do. I mean, you guys can do is the exhaust. So that can be either a catback exhaust or an axleback exhaust. I recommend going with a catback. I know it's going to bite the wallet a little bit more, and it's just, in the future, you're going to have, if you plan on building the car further, you're going to have to go with a full catback and eventually downpipe. So you're going to end up with a full turbo back exhaust. I have a full video up on the channel of me going over my exhaust setup. And when I started with this exhaust setup on this car, it was in pieces, and I've spent more money and rigged it up in ways I shouldn't have had to. I'm not going to go in depth with that, but anyways, all I can say is you should definitely go with a catback. Now, if you go turbo back, the downpipe's going to be included in that. That will require a tune. So I don't recommend you going turbo back if you're trying to do stuff without a tune. But in the future, like I said, I don't recommend axleback. If you're only going for strictly noise and not performance, and you don't plan on building the car, you want to keep it small, you want to just jack the car up, throw this little exhaust on, you want it to be louder, go with an axleback. It's cheap, and you can do it in like an hour. But if you want the most out of it and you don't want to cut any corners, go with a catback. Trust me, you'll thank yourself down the road, and so will your bank account. So for number 4, it's going to be weight reduction. I don't have a good example of this, but if you plan on tracking your car, you want to take it to autocross events, you want to go down the drag strip, what you could do by starting out is taking out your spare tire and all the stuff in the bed, in the trunk, take all that stuff out, and you can also, it's very easy for you to remove the rear seats. That'll take a good chunk of the weight off. Also, with going with a different wheel setup, you want to go with rays, you want to invest in that. Less rotational weight on the wheels will definitely make you faster in the long run, especially in the corners, of course, when you clear up weight. That's why I have another video on the channel talking about why we don't run wheel spacers on anything we own, because adding weight to the wheels and adding all that is going to make everything run hotter. You're going to run through your brakes faster, your pads, your calipers. It's not healthy for any vehicles. If you need to spare your daily drive in the car, I definitely don't recommend you taking out your spare tire out of your trunk. Save yourself. It's not really that important. But that's a small thing that you can do. Weight reduction is in for any car. Now, for number 5, it's not going to be something installed on the car. It's going to be you. It's going to drive in the car to its full capability. How is your shifting? If you're new to the scene, you should watch some videos, and not even watch videos. Go out on your own and just drive your car. Make sure you're driving it correctly. Find out where your car performs the best. Find out if you're doing a 20 roll, a 35 roll, what gear works best for you. Make sure you're not slowing down the car, because honestly, at the end of the day, a driver mod is the most important thing that you can have in a car. And I think we all know that, especially with driving manual cars. So anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys for watching. That was 5 tips for me how to make your car a little bit faster that don't require a tune. Hope you guys can take advantage of some of the stuff that we talked about, because I think all of it is useful information. Please check out the other videos on the channel. We upload content all the time. And hell yeah, we will see you guys in the next one.